Coming up tonight on the news at 5.
It's simply a matter of too many cases, too many contacts, too much disease locally.
Lewis and Clark public health officials say tracking new COVID patients is taxing the system. Plus, there are new visitor restrictions at Benefis Health System in Great Falls as cases of coronavirus continue to climb.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Jessica Nelson. Thank you for joining us. Turning to state COVID-19 numbers, Montana reported 427 new COVID-19 cases today, bringing the statewide total to more than 40,000. Nearly 14,000 of those cases are active. 6 deaths have been reported since yesterday, meaning 480 Montanans have died due to COVID-19 complications. One more thing to note, the Department of Public Health and Human Services upgraded its statewide reporting system. Because of this upgrade, local officials were not able to report new cases into the system until late Sunday. So today's case count is lower than expected, and state officials say tomorrow's will likely be much higher. With 15,000 reported active cases and 1,400 active hospitalizations in the state, the Public Health Department says they're getting overwhelmed. MTN's John Riley has more.
On the state COVID database, Lewis and Clark County is listed as having 1,100 active cases. Lewis and Clark Public Health says while that data was accurate at one point, it's now dated information, and the current active case count is closer to 600 cases.
This is really about the number of cases that we're seeing. There's so many cases coming through on a daily basis right now. It's simply a matter of being able to get the data uploaded and changed in a timely manner. There's just so many cases. And so, while we have staffed up, and I know that the state has staffed up to do this as well, it's simply a matter of too many cases, too many contacts, too much disease locally. The infection rates are off the charts.
Merchant says they're seeing some of the highest COVID infection rates in the country right now. The county is seeing around 39 cases a week per 10,000 individuals. The national average is 3 cases per 10,000 individuals. Public Health isn't looking at any additional restrictions at this time, except enforcement of businesses that are willfully ignoring the COVID mandates. Even without public health intervention, businesses have closed due to COVID.
We see lots of businesses where we're not out there shutting them down for COVID violations. They're being shut down because they don't have the staff to support the operation, right? And that's simply because those staff are either cases or caught up as contacts.
COVID hasn't gone anywhere, and when a vaccine does come to the state, it will still be months before it's available to the general population. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
And with COVID cases rising again around the state, hospitals and healthcare facilities are now limiting the number of visitors allowed for each patient. Patients being treated at the Benefis Health System in Great Falls will now only be allowed 2 healthy visitors in their rooms. Those who test positive for coronavirus will not be allowed any visitors. Last week, Benefis announced the change would go into effect immediately. At the Great Falls Clinic, visitors are no longer allowed to enter unless they are essential caregivers for the patient. Exceptions can be made at both hospitals in end-of-life care situations. These changes come after a rise in positive COVID cases across the state. Benefis Health System says they made the decision to limit the number of visitors for the safety of everyone.
So as we've seen an increase in COVID cases across our community and an increase in COVID hospitalizations, we just want to take every measure that we can to keep our patients and their families as safe as possible, as well as our staff during this time.
Benefis would also like to remind everyone to wash their hands often and to stay home when possible. All right, switching gears now to our forecast. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how much snow did we get this weekend? It wasn't as much as last time, but some people got quite a bit.
Yeah, we may have gotten less snow than the last time in some areas, but there was certainly a lot more wind with this blizzard, true blizzard that came through. I'll have more on the blizzard coming up in the weatherwise segment tonight at 6, but in the Lewistown area, as much as 19 inches of snow. Up there around Guilford, 18 inches of snow. Zortman, 15. Hinsdale, 14. Malta, a lot of northeast Montana, north central northeast Montana, right around a foot. And the Helena area anywhere from about 6 inches out in the valley to almost a foot into the mountains around town. How about a live look at Bowman's Corner? Yeah, look at some of that snow drifting. Actually, a real pretty scene here, but strong south wind around Bowman's Corner affecting Highway 200. And yeah, this is East Glacier looking in the direction of Browning, blowing snow. Still an issue. Travel still pretty difficult. We've got wind woes here over the next few days, even into the weekend. A little smaller snow system to talk about, and the weekend again. We've got another storm headed our way, kind of in one of those patterns where we get storms over the weekend. A little more in the full forecast coming up.
President-elect Joe Biden has announced who will help him form a new policy to fight the pandemic. Joe St. George is in Washington with more.
The president-elect meeting with his newly formed COVID-19 advisory board. Dr. David Kessler, a former Food and Drug Administration commissioner, Dr. Vivek Murthy, a former Surgeon General of the United States, and Dr. Marcella Nunez-Smith, a public health professor at Yale, will all co-chair the group.
The stars are doing everything possible to get the COVID-19 under control.
The announcement comes as Pfizer reports early success with the possible vaccine, but the president-elect still stressing patience to the American people today.
Please, I implore you, wear a mask.
One big question, how will President-elect Biden change policy and impact your life?
They're going to allow the evidence to be back in the driver's seat.
Dr. John Andrus is an epidemiologist with the George Washington University School of Public Health. He says possible COVID response changes in a Biden administration include a national mask mandate, more federal guidance for governors and mayors, increased reliance on international public health groups, and more contact tracing and testing supplies.
Lessons learned from many of countries such as those in South Asia clearly show that aggressive testing and contact tracing with appropriate isolation and quarantine works.
Another big change may be COVID economic relief impacting your pocketbook. Remember, Democrats wanted to spend trillions of more dollars than Republicans earlier this summer, and they'll have more leverage to pass stimulus check payments and student loan forgiveness come January. It remains possible, though, that another round of economic relief is passed while President Trump is in office. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Officials released the name of the man killed after an officer-involved shooting this past weekend in Missoula. It's a case now being investigated by the Division of Criminal Investigation. 34-year-old Missoula resident Jesse James Cale Brown was pronounced dead after Missoula police officers say Brown attacked an officer while they were responding to a disturbance call around 5:30 on Saturday night. A release from the weekend says officers asked Brown to drop a knife that he had in his possession. They asked him multiple times before Brown attacked an initial responding officer. The incident happened on the 2300 block of Sherwood Lane in Missoula. MPD says they cannot interfere with the investigation, so they have no comment at this time. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks is seeking information on a cow moose shot and left on Sure Enough Road in the Little Snowy Mountains south of Lewistown. The animal was killed either October 31st or November 1st. FWP is asking anyone with information on the incident to call 1-800-TIP-MONT. Callers are kept confidential and a reward is possible. The numbers are in after the third weekend of general rifle season, while the overall number of hunters in Region 4 is below the 10-year average. The number of elk and deer harvested is above average. According to FWP officials, the whitetail harvest is 52% above the 10-year average, and the elk harvest is 5% above average. But the mule deer harvest is below average by 46%. FWP biologists say antlered buck harvest is the primary factor driving the low mule deer harvest so far this season. Old Man Winter has made his return back to Montana, and as the Montana Ag Network's Russell Nemitz shares, in addition to the obvious challenges that the cold temperatures and snow bring, ranchers also need to pay close attention to their livestock's nutritional needs.
Well, the mild fall weather that we've been enjoying has now been replaced with cold temperatures and snow for much of our region. And MSU Extension beef cattle specialist Megan Van Emmen reminds ranchers to make sure they're meeting their livestock's nutritional needs during weather events like this.
The big one we want to keep in mind is that rule of thumb that for every degree below 32 degrees, we increase our requirements by 1%. And, the rule of thumb is energy requirements, but the big thing I want to keep in mind for that is that's all requirements. Everything goes up when the weather turns to lovely winter like it has today. But with this change in weather, it's the mother cows and then those freshly weaned calves we really want to keep an eye on because they're coming off that high stress event of weaning.
She says quality of hay is also a big factor in keeping cattle healthy, especially those mother cows.
Right now we're still in mid-gestation. That fetus really isn't putting a lot of extra demand on that cow yet. We're kind of getting into that time frame, so we can still feed a little bit of that lesser quality hay, but I would definitely supplement it with a hay in that 10 to 11% protein, or, never underestimate, range cubes, lick tubs, however you can help them get those protein requirements. That's our big concern this time of year and in the winter are those protein requirements because our pastures are probably in that 4 to 5% protein range.
Fresh and clean water is also important, she says, in helping cattle with their feed intake, but also keeping them warm during these cold and snowy conditions.
Yeah, fresh, clean water is extremely important. It keeps intake of feed up, and that's what they need to do to make sure they stay warm as our temperature drops. That rumen is its heat source, so make sure they're consuming those fresh quality water sources can really make sure their intake maintained through some of these harder weather conditions.
In Billings, Russell Nemitz, MTN News.
All right, when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenance has an update on some more snow headed our way later on this week. And later on in the show, how the world is reacting to President-elect Joe Biden. That full story after the break.
Weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenance.
All right, welcome back, everybody. A little nicer weather out there today, although we still have some wind that is hitting some parts of the state. Great Falls, 21 degrees, southwest wind of 22 miles per hour. Feels more like 5 degrees out there when you factor in that wind. At least the sky cleared out, so certainly nice to see. Helena, 22 degrees, not so windy out there today. A little light southeast wind. We've got a wind chill of 14 degrees out there right now. It's going to be a cold night here for a lot of places. Where we do not have wind, the temperature will drop significantly. Where we do have wind, well, the temperature may stay up here just a little bit. However, we've got wind chills to contend with. Look at Dillon already down to 12 degrees right now, 16 in Butte and also Bozeman. Calm in Glasgow, that certainly is nice. A little break from all of the wind, but Cup Bank and down the Rocky Mountain front through Great Falls, seeing significant southwest winds here, and that wind will continue to blow that snow around through tonight and into tomorrow. On the radar, one system moving out, and through British Columbia, there is the next system that may produce just a little light snow in parts of the state tomorrow, but a better chance coming through on Thursday. Our storm kind of sheared off into two. Nice to see some snow into the mountains of Colorado, Utah, even Arizona and New Mexico getting some moisture. They certainly do need it. The drought is pretty bad in the southwestern part of the country. So here's what will happen. Skies clear to start out for tonight. Look at some of that snow beginning to increase after midnight, mainly west of the Continental Divide. Heading into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies for places like Great Falls and Helena. Some snow into the Little Belt, some snow down the Continental Divide. Most of the light snow activity will be in the higher terrain. We'll be in the mountains here through Tuesday afternoon. Could have a couple of snow showers maybe in the Helena Valley or out across north central Montana, but it's there is a better chance for some snow coming through Tuesday night into Wednesday. There's a little front right here that will work its way down into the state, and through the overnight, Tuesday night into Wednesday, you can see a little light snow around Great Falls, around the Helena area as well. Through Wednesday, the Continental Divide could pick up another few inches of snow. So, not a big storm, not a major blizzard, but nonetheless, a little light snow coming through. By tomorrow morning, you can see up there around the Whitefish Range and Glacier and the Missions picking up some snow. Again, there may be some snow in the lower elevations closer to Kalispell and Missoula through the day, but heading through Tuesday night now, there's this little accumulation that will likely occur. North central Montana, certainly the Bear Paw Mountains picking up some snow, and then around Helena may get an inch of snow or so through Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Right down the Continental Divide, though, a couple of more inches where you see that white could be at least 3 inches of snow. For tonight, blowing snow, an issue here. Still really nasty travel conditions up along the High Line, even Interstate 15 through Shelby and Conrad. North central Montana, some chilly numbers, single digits and teens. Single digits northeast Montana will be in the teens for the most part in the central part of the state. Harleton, some good wind, and around the Helena area, I think the numbers might get a little cooler than that right there. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies. There might be a little sun mixed in there. Some snow up into the mountains. Continued blowing snow along the High Line. A little warmer air coming through. Look how much of the state up near the freezing point, if not above the freezing point. Nyhart, Monarch, up there at Showdown picking up some snow, and there will be some snow showers, especially up closer to the Continental Divide around the Helena area. 7-day forecast, so some scattered snow showers tomorrow. Veterans Day, a little better chance of some light snow coming through. Thursday looks really nice, mostly sunny skies. Friday, mostly cloudy skies, and this weekend will be a little warmer, highs up into the 40s, but there will be a lot of wind here across the state this weekend. And Great Falls, no stranger to wind. You'll have some tomorrow, a little lighter wind, but it's a colder day on Wednesday, Veterans Day, with some snow showers. And then we're back up into the 40s for Friday through the weekend with, again, a significant amount of wind.
World leaders continued to send well wishes to President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, with several key allies looking forward to working with the Biden administration. Yet some notable countries remain silent. Here's the very latest from London.
Leaders from around the world are sending congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Newspapers across the globe announcing a new era in the U.S. after Joe Biden was declared the president-elect. World leaders in Europe, Asia, Canada, and Australia all sending congratulations, most of them through social media over the weekend. The left-leaning socialist mayor of Paris tweeting, "Welcome back, America." Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and in a separate tweet, thanked President Trump for his friendship and work for Israel. But so far, nothing from the leaders of China or Russia. Today, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said that Joe Biden's declaration of victory had been, quote, noted, but suggested China would not congratulate any president until the results were made official. Chinese state media hinted in an editorial that the leadership there was hoping for a reset in relations under a President-elect Biden. Kelly Kobiella, NBC News, London.
Coming up next on the news at 5, the Great Falls community remembers a beloved flight nurse. More on the life of Bill Smith when we return.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
A Great Falls hospital employee is being remembered tonight after dying suddenly last week. Bill Smith was a flight nurse for Mercy Flight in Great Falls and was also a big help in Benefis emergency room. As MTN's Coulter Anstad explains, the loss is being felt far beyond Great Falls.
Emotionally, it's really, really tough.
Benefis Critical Care and Emergency Services Director Kevin Lanke says Bill Smith was like a son to him.
He was very influential. He kept all of us going in the same direction. Patients always come first.
Smith was just 40 years old when he died suddenly Friday from medical complications.
He was extremely larger than life, his personality. Some would call him loud, but he wasn't. He was boisterous, and he made everybody smile. And that was his thing, make everybody comfortable.
Outside the hospital, Smith was heavily involved in setting up Mercy Flight education programs in the community. Agencies across Montana and beyond who knew Smith have reached out to express their condolences. Great Falls Emergency Services and the Great Falls Fire Department's Facebook profile pictures have been changed to honor Smith.
It's comforting, but at the same time, it reinforces that we've lost somebody.
Lost, but certainly not forgotten. In Great Falls, Coulter Anstad, MTN News.
All right, up next, firefighters make a large donation, how they're helping those in need when we come back.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Some Great Falls firefighters are making sure children have the coats they need to stay warm this winter. Great Falls firefighters delivered 220 brand new winter coats to the local Head Start school preschool program this morning. It's all part of the fire department's Operation Warm program. The coats were donated through Set Free Church in Great Falls by the Downpour organization. Very nice. All right, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a great rest of your night. Nightly News is next.